Welcome to the world united. Welcome to the world united.
And I do have a couple of questions. Timo, you mentioned a statistic about only 32% of people thriving right now. Do you have a correlation to a percentage of people that are no longer working in the office, or either lost a job or no longer working in the office because of the COVID quarantines?
Well, look, I can't answer that specifically, but what I can do is direct people who are interested to Gallup's latest work.
Okay.
They basically released a very informative, very clearly laid out report, which has all these statistics of thriving and people who lost jobs, etc., etc. So there's their state of the global workplace report. It was published this year, 2021. So if people, yourself or people listening, you literally just Google that, you'll get to Gallup. You can download the report for free, and it has a lot of clearly laid out statistics. So that statistic that I quoted, that was basically a global, wrapping it up, a global, but obviously every nation is different. So for example, thriving in Australia is obviously a lot higher than it would be in Pakistan. So,
Sure.
If you want to get a more realistic picture of where Australia is at for obviously our audience, then they have all the stats around there. But interestingly, they did point out, obviously the pandemic's been a tough time for everyone. And they did have statistics such as 45% have experienced daily stress and 32% daily worry. And they have all these kinds of workplace statistics there. So that would probably be the best place to go.
Okay, great. I know in the States, there's an increasing number of people that are just leaving their jobs. They liked working at home and said, oh, this is better. A lot of an increase in entrepreneurialism, which I think is great for people and for the economy. But okay, that's great. Well, I'll go and Google that. Go ahead.
Well, just adding on to that comment that you just made, I don't know if it was raised earlier, but there's this going to be the great resignation next year, where as lockdown COVID settles, people have had a reflection on their life, what's important, their work. Apparently, there's going to be this huge wave of commercial change where people want to pursue something different because they've realized there's probably more important things in life. So
it's already started. I mean, it's already started. And there was something else I was going to say. I forgot. It just went. But people are, I know, meditation. As people went into lockdowns, they found an enormous increase in meditation apps being downloaded from people, which it's like, okay, finally, whatever you want to say about all of this, it has given people the opportunity to stop and go inside and realize there's more than just the grind of the 9 to 5 and being defined by that, and having others define your worth, and your health, as you've pointed out. So yeah. And I love that the synchronicity of all three of you bringing together mind, body, and spirit, and how essential each is to our health and to our well-being. And of course, the deep breathing it's amazing. It's so simple. These things are so simple, quote unquote, but they're so primary and essential. They're like, ancient wisdoms that we get away from because we think we have to have a pill or we have to have somebody adjust us or whatever. And it's all, we have the ability within ourselves. Really amazing. Do you gentlemen have any questions that you wanted to ask of each other by any chance? Anything that's
Well, I didn't have a question myself, but I did want to just recognize Nick and Gavin for their content and their messages. And, you know, obviously there's a lot of crossover in what we're doing and our messages. And I think the key thing is for everyone, as you've pointed out yourself, that it's simplicity. It really doesn't take a lot to look after your health, your physical health, your mental health, or your spiritual health. It really doesn't take a lot. And that's the thing that excites me the most, is that, you know, it's so sad to see so many people struggling or not happy or anxious or overweight or having chronic health conditions. It's just so easy, you know. And I think the world has so much information. We don't need any more information. What we do need is people who are come together in this event to actually inspire people to get on with it, because we're not really teaching anything revolutionary here. People have been talking about breathing for 2,000 years plus. What we're trying to do is re-inspire people that, you know what, this works, just do it. It's good for you and you'll feel better. Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's very, very wise words spoken there, Timo. And it brought up two memories of me. One of beloved grandmother Parisha, who says it's all within you already. And another one from a spiritual father, the big way, which is a Taoist thing. The big way is the simple way. You know, and but yeah, we've been, you know, breathing, the big way is the simple way, it's within us. We need to go within to connect with it. We need to go within. We need, and this is what is so great to hear about meditation apps going on such an increase, you know, and how allowing people to go within, and how many people are saying like, wow, I just realized I've been in the wrong job all my life, you know, and thanks to COVID. So like in everything that comes, there's a gift. Some of them might be wrapped in barbed wire, but boy, those are the biggest of gifts. So what is the positive aspect of the COVID? What is the positive aspect of anything that's happening around us? You know, I just mentioned that because that is what was brought up. People have gone within. People have found out so much about themselves. There's a gift in it. And I just wanted to actually also mention, while I do have the floor, is there were other things that were spoken about, and that was the gratitude and forgiveness. And I think I did touch on the gratitude, but the forgiveness is so powerful. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools of transformation that we have. You know, it's not something because you've done something wrong. It's the greatest gift. It's like, wow, thank you for showing this to me. Please forgive me so that now I can move on. And that's the beautiful thing. And the final thing that we're just following on what Timo was just sharing now is practice. Practice, practice, practice. And I believe this is why, because I know my own personal journey. You know, it's everything and nothing. But to have, like exactly what both of you guys have been saying, that consistency. When you wake up in the morning, Nick was sharing gratitude. You go to bed, gratitude, right, Nick? And you wake up in the morning and you do those same practices. You connect with your soul. You connect with whoever it is. You send your love. You send your gratitude. But it is the consistency in the practice that makes it. And in my tennis coaching days, it was like, you know, there was a match played between two really good players in Australia, and they were practicing match. And the guy lifted up the ball, and the girl shot backwards and smashed it down, right? And the young guy turned around and said to her, like, oh my gosh, that was incredible. And her answer was, I should hope so, because I did at least over 300 of them yesterday. And she had one opportunity to do it. practice, practice, practice with a gratitude, an open heart filled with love, compassion, and appreciation. Because gratitude is appreciation, but with reverence and respect. Thank you, guys.
There's some powerful points you raised there, Gavin, and the idea around practice. You know, it's funny, we can speak about like compassion, or we can speak about connection or whatever, but I actually have to write down in my planner each day, like, you know, yoga, connection, the work, not so much, because that's kind of my new addiction. So I don't need to remind myself to get into that, but to actually set aside blocks to take those breaks and proactively seek to connect. Like the habits, right? We have to practice these habits.
Yeah.
And I'd like to add something to this conversation. There's something that underlines practice, and that's routine. Because when you have routine, you know what you're doing and when. Like Nick's going to know when he's doing his yoga, etc. You know when your tennis practice is booked in. It takes away the thinking and the stress. A routine underlies habit, I believe. And that helps people to do the healthy stuff, that whatever it is, their meditation, their exercise, their eating well. It's kind of, they know what's happening and when.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you guys. I don't know who wants to answer it, but just on what you're talking about, how do you do that when the will is low? You know, when the heart has sunk and the will is just really low, like how do you get that momentum going? Nick, can you?
Yeah, absolutely. So one habit that I really like to encourage young people and anyone to do, and myself, is if you're trying to get a habit started, the best thing to do is firstly to make it easy. So for example, if I'll have my runners next to my bed in the first thing in the morning. So the less barriers between me and my gym gear, the better. The second thing that I'd encourage you to do, whatever habit it is you're trying to put into practice, is to commit to just 5 minutes. That's it at the beginning. So for example, if I said to someone who's not fit, go run 10 Ks, like do that every day, they might do it 2 days and then it's just not going to happen. If I said to someone who wants to write a book, write a chapter a night, it's a bit much. And we don't get started at all because we think it's this giant task. But if we commit to 5 minutes, what happens is quite often, very often actually, motivation actually comes after we start something. And we can find that once we start, we want to keep going. And if we don't, if we want to stop at the end of 5 minutes, that's cool, because 5 minutes is still a million times better than nothing. So start small.
Yeah, powerful. And anyone else have something to add to that?
Yeah, I completely agree with Nick. He's 100% right. Because one of my favorite philosophies is something's better than nothing. And typically when you start, you do more. So nobody sets a goal of saying, I'm going to do 5 minutes of exercise. And then after 5 minutes, they stop. Once they've started, they'll probably do 20 or 30 minutes. So definitely 100% agree with Nick. I'd like to go deeper because I've been doing what I do personally for like 30 years. So I have routine. So for example, when your routine is solid, you don't even think about it. You're just doing it because it's just what you did yesterday. And it doesn't mean my life's boring, because part of my life routine is to break the routine 10, 20%. But for example, I have oats every single day and I've eaten it for 20 years. I never question not having anything else because it's the best breakfast for me. And when I ever eat anything else, I'm always hungry in half the time. So I have my oats with almond meal and shaved nuts, and it's just done and dusted. There's no thought. So when my point is, when the routine is so strong, the question of willpower is almost not even an issue because it's just the way it is. You know what I mean? But definitely agree with Nick. in terms of healthy habits, starting small and nurturing them. Yeah. And the other big thing is extrinsic motivation from other people. So doing things with friends, doing it with a mate, joining groups, classes, joining things online. Community is what's going to help people to, particularly when it's an area of life that they need help with. So obviously our conversations about health and well-being. But if you need motivation, joining some sort of community where you're going to be doing it together is going to help with those kind of accountability, motivation issues.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And, you know, I heard actually not so long ago, because the same topic came up in discussion. And this one girl shared with us that she said, I just set something and I make it a non-negotiable deal. Absolutely non-negotiable. And I took that home with me, and there was something like, I was wanting to practice my calligraphy, and I went, okay, non-negotiable at this time, this is what I'm doing. And it was amazing how easy it actually it fell into place. And also what both of you were sharing about, motivation is the first step. Yeah. And that to be motivated by other people is also allowing other people to make you accountable for what you need to do. But I have another question relating to the same thing that what Marianne brought up. What if that non-desire, non-will, I don't want to, is an ongoing pattern? Yes, I've got my buddy, but I gave up on my buddy. I've got this, and I've been trying to get motivated, and it's still coming back. It's still coming back. It's still coming back.
It always will. Like, if success is a matter of just waking up and doing the things we don't want to do over and over and over again, it's that simple, and it just becomes habit. And that's where growth comes. That's all it is, right? And just, I guess if you really don't want to, the way around that, maybe just eat the frog first, which is get that one thing out of the way you really don't want to do first thing in the morning. It will just immediately release dopamine in the brain for having achieved that reward. And now you want to achieve the next thing, which there isn't that level of resistance behind it. There's ways of tricking the brain into becoming hooked on actually growing and achieving, which could then actually backfire with some people who become workaholics. But there are ways around it, but it comes down to how much you want the results versus how much you want comfort in the present moment.
Yeah, but some people, no matter what, just keep having that resistance. And where I'm leading to on this is that, we all covered meditation. And it's like, okay, this is the negative message I keep giving myself. Now let me go within. Where is that negative message being felt? And to try and shift that by going more and more inwards. So again, what I'm saying is we're shifting it. Change and heal the soul first, the mind and the body will follow. So if there's constant resistance, and I've had this with the tennis players, constant resistance, where do you feel that? What is attached to it? And allowing them to come to an aha realization, because they're going within, like my words that were shared by Graham, everything is already within. We just need to go there and tap into it. Such powerful speakers earlier about, I did this, and it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I did this, and I woke up every day, and I stay with my parents, and it was that powerful quantum shift where you change that vibrational field within yourself. And to me, if there's constant, some people just boom, straight into it. Others may struggle. Where are they struggling? What is attached to it? could be self-worth issues. It could be I'm not good enough. I'm never going to get there. You know, look at that guy. I mean, look at him. I'll never look like that. And then coming back to what are those self-love issues? And you clear that at the soul level. The heart will receive it. The mind will process and say, like, actually, you know, I'm doing pretty good here. The energy will create the action and you'll have the results. Because we've cleared the negative message that a person may have been holding on to for many, many years. Nick, if I can jump in here, I was writing some notes down also when you were talking, but I missed all your M's. Movement, meaning, mates, mental.
The concept, the framework itself is mental stealth. That's just the branding of it, I guess. Just the overarching structure, mental stealth, and movement, meaning, mates are the three foundations.
All right.
Just on that note, Gavin, it's an interesting bit you raised about the resistance and the negativity versus the self-love. And I think there's an interesting dialogue going on inside our mind and in our hearts at all times, which is, it's such an interesting paradox between self-development and self-improvement, which, you know, let's grow, let's achieve more, let's become more, this and that, versus the flip side of that, which is that buried inside of that argument is an inherent belief that we're not enough. Because if we need to improve, then we're not enough. And for example, when I was living at Bondi, I thought, well, cool, I've made it. I don't need anything more. I can be loved for who I am. And I stopped striving. I gave up what I was doing in radio with my studies. I stopped trying to improve myself. And I thought I'll just go sit on the beach and meditate all day. And very quickly I became depressed. And I thought I could do the whole, you know, just be with myself and that's it. And, you know, my life fell apart. And as my partner left, I felt that lack of love. And I felt, wow, I've really got to do something about this, right? So I got so firmly on the path of self-improvement, like got a job and started looking after my health and started, you know, going to webinars and seminars about self-development and all the rest of it. And ended up going to Tony Robbins and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, when my life, you know, was in the most powerful place it's been, the more I was immersed and hooked into that world, the less I felt like I was enough. And the funny thing is, like, there I was comparing myself now, like, okay, I might be a speaker, I might be like whatever. I'm comparing myself to people who in one little sliver of their life, they're outstanding. And I will compare myself in that vertical to them and no other element of my life. And I've got to do this course and I've got to catch up and I've got to catch up. And what I feel we've got here is a bit of an inner dialogue between the maternal energy and the paternal energy. And the maternal energy is where I feel the unconditional love, which is the I love you no matter what, the nurturing, you are absolutely perfect the way you are. And on the other side of that, we've got the more paternal way of, say, for example, raising a child, which looks at that unconditional love and says, yes, and, you know, yes, and I think you could be more. It's that encouraging kind of giving the child a push a little bit, and neither of these are superior. I think both of them are indispensable. I think we need that voice to encourage us to do more. We also need that voice that when we haven't achieved a certain goal still says, yes, but you're still beautiful. You're still amazing. You're still incredible. And without that dialogue, we'll either end up not reaching our full potential, or we will inevitably feel like we're not enough and we're not loved. And there needs to be both.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with exactly everything you've been saying. You need both. We started off with the yin and the yang. You've got to have both. And I think the most powerful word there was unconditional. Having that unconditional, connecting to the qualities and allowing that magnificent to come out. And sometimes, it's like they say, it's also they say you can have a love teaching, you can have a hard love. Yeah. So I come to you for training and you're saying, Gavin, get up, come on, hard love. It's still unconditional, isn't it? And that to me was very powerful when you said both unconditional. Beautiful words. Thank you.
I'd like to share a quote, one of my favorite quotes on love. And it was that the greatest ideal on earth is human love. And the thing who said that was a German soldier. Have you ever seen the movie The Pianist? Where this guy is Jewish, member of the Jewish community, and obviously life goes terrible, and he remains living in the ruins in Poland somewhere on his own. And a German soldier brings him food on a regular basis. And he wrote that in his actual journal. And I just love it, especially at that time in human history when there was so much, well, we don't need to say. But I love that quote from that because of that situation it was written in as well. Amazing.
Yeah. There was, unfortunately, I couldn't do the, I don't know if it's actually here, but, we're on the subject of love. To me, there's the saying that one particular calligraphy that I put up there was greatest love. Greatest love. Next line of it is unconditional love. Melts all blockages. Transforms the heart and soul in every aspect of life. But who mentioned, is it Nick? You out in Newtown, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was walking through Newtown one day and I just want to see if I've got it here. And that's what I came across. I don't know if it's readable at the moment. But it says the greater the power in the universe is the power of love. The feeling of love is the highest frequency you can emit. If you could wrap everything, every thought in love, if you could love everything and everyone, your life would be extremely different. Transformed. Here we go. Yeah. Thank you for that. And I found that in Newtown, and it was such a blessing that I got it because she gave it to me as almost like a gift because no one was buying it. And I just went, wow, this is the most profound words. If you could wrap everything in love, your whole life could be transformed. And, earlier my whole presentation actually changed because my whole start was going to be exactly what they had with the beginning of the, when you open up into the global unity page, it says, Earth is one. Truth is one. We are one. That's the connection. That's the mates. That's these, so many of the words that have been coming up, that's the motivation. But another beautiful saying is I see, feel, and enjoy the sacredness, which is the love, in everything and everyone in every moment, without resistance. And if I can feel I am loved, protected, and supported by the whole cosmos, the divine and the Tao which has no beginning, no ending. There's nothing that we cannot achieve.
Nick, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, if I may. The Kids Youth Development Service and your work as a smart recovery facilitator. Could you I'd love to hear just a little bit more about that.
Yep. So actually, funnily enough, I'm in Nelson Bay right now, where I came to sort my life out, and I walked into the Smart Recovery meeting down the road. I'd been to Narcotics Anonymous in the past, and the 12 steps didn't land with me. Willpower clearly didn't work. One-to-one counselling didn't work, and the mental health services in Australia around addiction are just not anywhere near appropriate. So I walked into Smart Recovery. It's a CBT-based service. Doesn't have to be abstinence-based. It's harm minimization, and it's based on the individual, what they need, what their goals are, and what works for them. It's not a prescriptive 12 steps or anything like that. And I kept going to these meetings every week for a year, and it took a little bit of time, but I eventually got on top of that stuff. And when COVID hit, I lost my job in the conference industry, and the guy my facilitator actually down the road who runs the smart meetings, he'd encouraged me to do a counselling diploma. I did that diploma during lockdown. That kept me out of trouble. And at the end of lockdown, I called him and I said, where now? What do I do? How do I get started in the field? And he referred me, he runs a youth counselling service up here. And he referred me to their sister organisation in Sydney, Kids Youth Development Service. They do free confidential counselling to young people in the area. They're the only service that does it without a GP referral. There's 17 counsellors and psychologists. I'm not at that stage yet for the one-to-one for young people. I do coach adults one-to-one, but not for young people just yet. I need to be a bit more qualified. But I've come in and told them my background around speaking and my lived experience. They said, look, we run workshops in schools around things like drugs and alcohol, mental health, things like that. And that's my role there now, is to go into schools, run workshops with people. And then I stuck my hand up. I said, I'd love to jump on stage and speak in front of the whole grade. So that's where that's landed me. So the whole thing has just come full circle.
That's cool.
Mm.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I've just started as a facilitator for Smart, so helping other people with their stuff. So
awesome. Very awesome. Well, gentlemen, we're a few minutes away from our time. If there's any summary statement that you'd like to make before we go. I would like to extend an invitation to all of you to consider becoming members on the council for, my mind just went blank. It's 11 o'clock here. The World United Council, sorry. To be able to, help keep the movement going, help extend the work, and help making the connections, continue to make the connections we're making to raise consciousness here and find each other. Would love to see you consider that. We'll send you some information about it. And as I said, if you have, a little summary statement, great. If not, it's been a fantastic time with the three of you. I just deeply, deeply appreciate all three of you. Seriously.
Thank you very much, Deb. Deb, I'll just, if I may, I'd just like to throw it out there to anyone who is attending the conference, just as a sign of appreciation. I'm willing to offer a free session for anyone who might want some coaching or some counselling. So if that's okay to throw that out there, Deb, then people can feel free to contact me.
Fantastic. Yes, sir.
How do they contact you, Nick? Your information is on the website, so maybe they can go to the www.gtfaustralasia.com.
Yep.
And yeah, that might be the easiest way.
Well, they can just shoot me an email at nick@nickdkenny.com.
There you go. Well, I've
Awesome.
personally loved your session, so thank you very much. Really powerful, and I know it's making a difference to people. And it will be recorded and available for people to watch later too. So it was really, really good.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Beautiful time. Thank you. And thank you, Deb, for staying up so late for us. Thank
My
you,
pleasure.
Nick. Thank you, Tima.
Thank
My
you very
pleasure.
much,
Marianne.
guys.
Thanks, Marianne. Thank you.
Yeah, and well done, Marianne.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you guys have been
Marianne
amazing.
rocks.
It's been an amazing, amazing session.
Cool. Thank
All
you
right.
for your passion to help.
Thank you for
Love
bringing
you
it
all.
together.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, guys.
You bet.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Bye.